All right. So recap of the recap. We had just gotten through the shoot. What was the mountain called?
White Plume Mountain.
Thank you.
White
We just
Plume
gotten
Mountain.
through White Plume Mountain, and arrived at Mekuna.
I remembered one thing that we did not mention last time that will come up again in this session, which is Thieves' Cant.
Right.
Dailu and Thane, being both rogues, can talk to each other in a language that, as far as they knew at the time, nobody else could understand. And mainly it's just to gossip about the party in front of them. We never really said anything that incriminating.
Although at this point, this is the point where uh, Vane thinks that you're making fun of Vane, right?
I don't think that's yet, is it?
It was
It was a little bit later, but it's in this arc.
Okay.
Because unbeknownst to us, Sato has a level of rogue and understood everything the entire time and just didn't say anything because Sato's Sato. And finally did try to tell Vane by saying, like, they're speaking in code, but it was while we were talking about Vane out loud. And so he interpreted that as they're making fun of me in secret.
Yes.
I was gonna say there was a couple times that Yuhung was like, "I speak that language," and just nobody heard. It was like he was in the middle of a conversation. And like, I'm pretty sure, other than that, I think there was one other time where Sato was like, "I speak Thieves' Cant," but Dailu and Thane were like at the table, were having a conversation. It just got lost in them and Paul and Scout having their own thing.
I generally interpret that as Yuhang speaking to Jared to say, "I understand this."
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say Paul caught on to that
That's true.
for sure.
Yep.
But Thane didn't know.
Yeah, I think the only time for a long time that Sato actually said anything about the fact that she could understand Thane and Dailu's secret language was to Vane while they were talking out loud about Vane, as Scout said, and Vane, in his hubris, assumed that meant that they were making fun of Vane. And then Sato gave up, like very specifically gave up on communicating that piece of information for quite some time.
And in fairness, like, mostly it was just stuff like, I don't know. Hey, Dailu, you want to talk about what we should do next or like what our plans are, but we don't want to say these things in front of other people because we're squirrely and untrusting of other people. I think the only thing I remembered us saying for a long time that was even vaguely sort of bad in front of the party was right after Vinaya picked up Black Razor, because Thane had also spoken to Black Razor. And I remember him saying, like, we need to keep an eye on Vinaya in case we need to handle that situation. And that would be like,
Yep.
but also that was true. So
it was true.
And pretty soon everybody was on the same page about that anyway.
I think even Vinaya was on the same page about that pretty quickly.
Yeah. So speaking of...
Yeah. So I think we actually did get through the end of this page maybe, so we can just like read it real quick. And then the next page I think is actually where we left off. So we get to Mekuna, we start heading towards a port town there, because this place is all about like it's a very desolate area and they mostly just have port towns. We had said this before, but Orin discovers a hidden powerful spell in Vinaya's book, and it seems like Althan's trying to use that spell to destroy Roden. That's a long-term project to figure that whole thing out. Vane studies the Feywild Stone?
Sorry, the Fey Anchor Stone.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was like, that's not what it's called. Okay, so yeah, the Anchor Stone, which was from Luck and Wisdom. Orin tells Thane everything about Epic, which again was a thing that he had promised way back when, like if we had made it out. Orin then tries to read Thane's thoughts, but Thane saves and realizes that he's trying to probe further. Thane's really not happy, tells everyone what's happened, and that he shouldn't do it again. And then I think this was where we ended.
Yeah,
I think
we
we
got
We
through
talked
like
about what happened with Dailu's attempted revenge of. I'm gonna read Orin's thoughts, and then
Right.
Okay. Oh yeah, because I had the thing we talked about the water buffalo. Okay, I must be on the wrong page then.
oh yeah,
I
this
think
this
we
page
ended
is where
pretty
we left
quickly
off.
after
Yeah,
this, though.
yeah, we reached the coast town of Koyakuba,
Yeah, because we didn't
and
get to the bottom, that's for sure.
yeah, I think we left right after that. We stopped as we reached the town.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
At this juncture, Dailu and Thane propose a party out of the assumption that we're going to have to race across the world to go fight Althan again. And this might be our last chance to boogie down.
We're 100%
And
wrong.
yeah. Dailu and Thane have a good time. Vane goes up to his room in the tavern to study his book or meditate or
The Anchor
something.
Stone, yeah. I remember
Something
this
offensive.
specific party. I remember because everyone else was doing stuff, and Orin I think stepped out and wild magicked for 10 minutes, or something like
Yeah, I
that.
stepped
Yeah.
out so
Or
that I
for
could
1
wild
minute.
magic until I could drink without getting drunk.
Yeah. And he fireballed in the middle of that. I remember.
course.
In the middle of town.
But yeah, Vane was up in his room. the whole time.
Vane succeeded in being not at the party despite Dailu's best efforts. Dailu showed off her skills with the fiddle outside of Vane's door as loudly as possible for a while until it became clear that he could not be moved from his position, his unfestive position on the matter.
Yeah, I think at this point was where Vane had started to kind of coalesce why he was researching this, which was like he believed that it could be used as a tool to help with the problems that awaited the group back in Roden. Specifically, he was feeling like Vane was feeling like he needed to find some way to do something if his family was afflicted and specifically his brother was afflicted in the same way that the triumvirate Rowena was.
Right.
And so he was desperately researching at this time to try to see if the only piece of Fey magic that they really have had any clues as to how to deal with that.
One thing to note, and I'll slot it in order in the playlist, but there's a video of a conversation that. Oh no, that doesn't happen yet. That's while we're in this town. Never mind. Sorry, continue. The Vane and Orin conversation.
So now we've gotten through the really important part about how we're partying. A totally minor, unimportant thing happens. We meet Marinto and Sibojito again.
Yeah.
Totally minor. Won't matter at all to the story.
We at this point, these are like the only NPCs who've ever loved us.
They're the only
so
ones
this-
who matter to us.
So this is very exciting. Marinto is now a higher level paladin than before, and all buff and stuff. Sibojito is himself
Mm-hmm.
hiding in the shadows. I remember.
Yep.
I feel like there should be scare quotes around that. They ask about Rurik, Oddly, etc. Get some sad news. Thane almost blows their cover. I don't remember that.
I think there was a moment where Thane, you guys hadn't been where they're in hiding and stuff, and Thane knowing who they are is like, Marinto, Simajito, I've heard of you too, and they're like, shh,
I
don't
started
tell people that we're here.
I started gushing about them because they're part of the dagger or the
Aw.
Frost story, and then it was like, oh wait, people don't know.
Yeah, Marinto explains that she's undercover right now because her father, the admiral of the Genasi and Gnome fleet, has been murdered. And anyone loyal to her father is either dead or has a bounty on them. And a group of separatists have taken over the fleet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have here, note, fleet has been taken over by Smokework. I don't know how we know that.
They must have told us or
I
something.
think we
I'm
made
pretty
some
sure
assumptions.
we got information back when we were dealing with the witch that said, "Hey, Smokework is involved in the fleet. And then we got another piece of information at some point previously in the story. Yeah, during the caravanning bit when we were dealing with Epic, where we had heard rumors that, hey, there's some smoke work. Yeah, we got some intel that there was like some smoke work agents in the fleet. So we're like, okay, there were agents in the fleet. They're doing stuff, actively causing the princess to go into to hiding in Kronos, and then this was clearly an escalation of that, where the people that we knew were working against the leader of the fleet have now succeeded. The leader of the fleet has now changed, and almost certainly smoke work was involved. And I think that was mostly us that came to that conclusion, but maybe Marinto and Samujito had information on that.
Yeah. And then, yes, on the fireball outside front, important note here is that then Orin comes back inside, having successfully triggered the condition on the wild magic table that makes it so that he is physically incapable of getting drunk, and challenges.
For how 5d4 days or something?
Physically ultra capable of staying sober.
Yes.
I'm immune to being intoxicated by alcohol for the next 5d6 days. So I went out there in order to try and trigger that condition by casting as many first level spells as I could to get as many wild magic bursts. And I'm pretty sure in that trigger I also triggered the one where for the next minute, every 6 seconds, I automatically roll.
Yeah, I think it was.
I ended up getting it so that I could go in and then challenge whoever I wanted to a drinking contest.
Yeah, I think it only took you 2 first level spells before you hit the keep rolling once every minute.
Yeah. Side note, it's just random. Like there's nothing that is actually tying these together. But the number of times like my intentions as a player or as a character line up with the way that wild magic spits out, like me going out and being like, I need to try and cast as many spells as possible to get this effect, and rolling the one that just like loops me through 10 of them in a row it comes up a lot. It always makes me happy. And anyways,
I don't know if it works for other players, but I need you to roll more unicorns.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Dolly wants to meet the unicorn. Dolly wants to meet the unicorn so bad.
Then I would like to apologize to the unicorn.
I will
Dolly
say
would like
that
a
lines up too, though,
formal
because last time I was about to get, this is far future spoilers, but I was about to get pushed off a ship, and the unicorn appeared and took the took the aggro for me. It definitely lost me points with that unicorn, but it saved my ass.
I just can't wait for you to get 2 unicorns within the same minute.
Oh my god.
Oh no!
You'll finally get a second unicorn.
I would love that, or Jared can also take that opportunity to confirm that it's the same unicorn by having the unicorn that I've summoned disappear and reappear next to me.
No. The
unicorn splits in front of you into 2 unicorns.
No.
Oh, God.
Screaming monstrosity.
Unicorn 1 talks to Unicorn 2 and tells them, "See, I told you the blue man is real."
I was gonna say the unicorn 1's long aggrieved spouse appears and is like, "Oh my god, honey, I'm so sorry I didn't believe you.
Yep.
Like, I will now kill the blue man for you."
Exactly.
And then Dailu and Thane will be like, 1 unicorn for each of us.
Oh.
The reason that we bring up the alcohol thing, though, is because I then came in and challenged, I think either challenged or offered to teach Dailu and Thane. I think here I just challenged you both to a drinking contest, and both of you were like, well, surely we, Daggers agents, and just general badasses can beat this small gnome in a drinking
Normal-sized
competition.
people.
Yeah, and we didn't even roll for it because I couldn't get drunk, and so they ended the evening passed out on the table. And
We rolled to see, I remember this because I rolled very poorly, to see how long it took, and Dailu was just out like a couple beers in. Thane held his own for a while longer, I remember.
Dailu would have lost anyways.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
yeah.
the next
morning. Next morning, we wake up to some of us more hungover than others to a new ship coming in, and I believe Marinto and Simajito identify these as headhunters for the fleet. Bad brutal murderers. It says. I was about to say bad people, but you summed it up there. Brutal murderers. These are just ships that go around, like at this point, hunting down people who were loyal to Marinto's father. Oh, and it was a galley.
No.
Okay, no, it was retconned. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a sailing ship.
Yeah, but he said like 30 people minimum on there. Like, basically, yeah, we couldn't like go in and take him out. That would be suicide. Who would even think of that?
It was great. At this point, there was like a really. Jared was like, okay, this is the situation. You guys are taking too long to decide what you're going to do. So we put a time clock pretty quick on this. And we continued to debate during this time clock what we were going to do. And the group believed that they had come to a consensus, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. We hadn't.
Yeah, but then Jared's like, okay, cool. Explain what you're gonna do. If I remember correctly, actually, Paul, you could probably better describe what most of the group did.
I'm just reading my notes and I don't super understand it, but so the plan was it looks like plan was to fight some of the people off the boat, but Vane was like, no, you're not going to murder them. So you had then gone in, based on my notes, it looks like you had gone in and been like, hey, we're going to fight you.
I remember what it was now. So,
oh, okay.
The Vane had said that we needed to confront them. And the rest of the group, I remember, was like, we're going to ambush them after some of them have left the boat. We're going to go and just kind of ambush those, and then we'll attack them in 2 groups, basically.
I remember that, yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of time for the debate, but Vane was very much in the, we're not going to let them enter the town camp. Because there are people here, and these are murderers and pirates. And who would let pirates anywhere? When the time clock clicked, and Jared was like, okay, what do you all do? Most of the group, I believe, went and hid, waiting for the ambush in the town. And Vane went to the docks and declared to them as they approached that they shall not pass, and started shooting, if I recall correctly.
Looks like that.
I think part of why this became a thing and part of how we ran down the clock was Dailu and Thane at this point being like, oh, bad people, feed to sword. And Vinaya and Vane going, no, do not feed bad people to sword.
The sword being Black Razor, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was why Vane was so heavy on the, like, we're not going to murder. No, we're not going to soul destroy, soul reave these people. We're going to stop them from doing bad things. With force, if necessary.
Yep, I remember one of the people got crit and fell into the water here from one of Vane's shots, and he jumped into the water to fish him out after the fight.
Oh, yeah.
Also, at one point, and part of the reason that we stayed in town for so much longer after this was I used Fireball to take out a number of them, but ships are flammable. And so
right,
the ship
yes, that's right. So we had to spend 6 weeks fixing the ship.
Yeah, and I've got a note here that Sato also used Shockwave, so yeah, that damaged it some more.
Yeah, we fucked that ship up. And I remember us rallying the town to, like, get buckets and help us put the fires out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at this point we had the 6 of us, only one of us being a trained sailor, but the immediate assumption was like, okay, we need to train all of you to, like, be passable.
There's a pretty important thing we skipped over here, which is that Vinaya does soul reave the captain here with Black Razor. On accident.
That's right. That was when I tried to do a non-lethal blow, or like a non-lethal blow, but Black Razor ate him anyway. And I think I kind of used that to threaten the others to some degree, because didn't we get a bunch of them to surrender? That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, a bunch of them did surrender.
But also, put a pin in this, the townsfolk did see the soul reaving of this dude, and they did, they were aware of that.
They sure did.
Town will remember this.
Yeah. So at this point we had Simajito and Marinto were planning to come with us. We were planning to do something about the fleet. So we had 8 people, one of whom was a trained sailor, and needed 22 more for the bare minimum crew to run the ship. Marinto names the ship the Witch's Curse.
After the witch that had cursed her by declaring that her fate was entwined with that of the fleet through the leadership of her father.
Oh, I never got that. Thank you. That's awesome.
Of course.
I was just like, the Witch's Curse. The curse is
cool name.
I was like, it's about the witch. I don't know why she seems like kind of an unlucky name, but that's you.
Yeah. Then Warren gives us sailing lessons, which we desperately need, or he starts giving us because it's going to take a while.
Because all of you start this process by rolling terribly, and we frame this as just like starting with basic knots, and just every single time you try, it ends up with like almost a straighter piece of rope than you started.
Yeah. And I think, if I recall correctly, the people actually taking sailing lessons in the group were Dailu and Vane.
Oh.
Was I maybe I don't. I can't remember. Never mind. It doesn't matter. I did end up with proficiency in water vehicles. It's on my character sheet.
Oh, then you probably were doing that as well then.
I believe.
We started with just the 2. I think you started with some. I think you were going to be doing some training with Marinto. I don't remember exactly.
Yes, that's what it was. And I also remember that a couple people got water vehicles proficiency later when while we were actually sailing.
Here was the joke of Thane saying, "No, I totally know how to sail a ship. I don't need sailing lessons." And then we'll get to this later, but he sneaks into the lessons as a different person because he can.
An old person. Like. The oldest sailor on the sea.
If this is still secret character stuff, that's fine. But was there a specific reason for Thane to be like, I'm not going to say I don't know what's going on, or was it just Thane not wanting to say he didn't know something?
I think there was some reason at the time. I don't remember what it was. Or again, it might have just been a joke that I ran with. I honestly don't remember.
I felt like it was the joke went so well that then it was like you had sort of trapped yourself. Like Oren 100% believed Thane, and Thane couldn't then back out of it.
That was it.
That's what it was. You were like, yeah, no, I get it, and I rolled insight, and I crit failed. And
yes, you did.
Was like, all right, well, you're good.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Face up to.
Or was it?
Explain to me that.
It was either that, or it was that you said, "All right, prove it by tying this knot." Then I like nat 20'd my knot check or something.
I think it was a combination because I remember at one point, or maybe it was when you were secret. At some point, there was a look me telling Jared because Devin knew. I was like, does Oren know this or not? Like, I need to know which way to play this, and he's like, make a roll, and so.
Well,
I think that may have been when the person showed up, though. Anyways, we'll get to that. But to start with, yeah, it was Vane and Dailu. Dailu desperately wanted to be a pirate, and Vane also wanted to be helpful.
Yeah, Vane did not believe it would be difficult, and had very high confidence in his capabilities.
Why not? What'll it take? An hour? Maybe 2? That's fine. I can spare that.
Notes on our cool ship. Awesome.
Yeah, so I think that he just. This is 3-masted sailing ship. We've got mangonels and ballistas.
We had a mangonel and a ballista.
Oh, at this point it was just one, right?
Osprey was the bosun in the town.
Yes.
That was repairing it.
Right. Yeah. And they couldn't come with us, which is why we had to find someone else.
It says ship built for speed, not one-on-one engagement. It's got some bunks and an armory. It's got a brig.
Here we go.
Basically, at this point, the idea was like, all right, the thing right in front of us is let's get Marinto a ship so that she can start her fleet. Maybe we'll help her take over another ship, and then maybe we'll help her take back the throne, maybe we won't, whatever. But this is kind of we need to get across the water. She needs to get across the water, and the fleet's in that direction. So we kind of just started we teamed up with Marinto, and we're like, let's get this thing working, and then you can have a ship and a crew, and we'll go with you and figure out what happens next afterwards.
Yeah, and I think here, at least for me, maybe I don't have to speak for the group, but I think at least I very much misunderstood how many people it takes to sail a ship. Because, yeah, we had been like, our plan is to we got one ship. Well, if you have one ship, it's pretty easy to, like, take another ship. And then we can just make our own fleet, and it'll be great. But, yeah that doesn't end up happening.
Yeah, and AJ had also misunderstood that, because, like, when he was like, yeah, you'll need to, like, get a few people trained up. Like, AJ had the impression of, oh yeah, well, he'll spend some time helping the ship, but there'll still be some free time that he can do other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yes, at this point we had a bunch of things that we needed to do in town, and we had a month to kind of accomplish these things. We needed to recruit about 30 people, which had to include officers, because aside from Oren, none of us were competent to lead sailors in tasks that they needed to do. We needed someone. Oh, the Witch's Curse had enchanted sails that were they were Evercross sails. Yeah, no matter which way the wind was blowing, they could sail good. But they were fucked up because Oren hit them with a fireball. So we needed to find someone who was good with enchantments to fix them. We needed provisions for about 90 days. We needed new flags.
That was more of we decided we wanted flags.
Yeah, we didn't need the flags.
We needed flags, but the ship didn't need flags.
Yeah. The hull was being repaired. And the leaders of the towns along the coast of Mekuna were called brokers. And the shitty broker of this town, Barksteed, we wound up talking to. He I think was the one who gave us directions for, like, here's where to go to try to find all these people. But they also had, like, a tiny jail with, like, 1 or 2 jail cells, and they were like, we can't keep all these prisoners you took.
We've got like 25 people.
And we had them all jammed in there.
Just standing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we had promised to, like, we'll figure out what to do with these people.
I think we strong-armed them into saying that we will figure out what to do with these people.
Well, yeah. I believe at one point did he not say, like, I mean, we execute prisoners if there's too many of them and they can't go out in public, we'll just execute them. And we took some exception to just, like, killing 25 people that we had specifically decided not to kill.
I remember specifically Thane and Diley being like, well, if you're going to execute him, how about we feed him to the sword?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Diley and Thane were like, oh my god, we have, like, a whole bunch of prisoners. We put them in the hold of the ship.
And we kill one of them every 3 days or something.
We have to get snacks for Black Razor for the rest of the voyage.
Yeah, that'd be like 3 months. We're good.
Why do y'all have such a problem with this? They're bad. We're gonna kill them anyway.
Oh, Paul's remembering a thing here.
Oh.
I don't remember us having 25 prisoners, but I remember us at least having, I think it was like 3 like important prisoners that, yes, we put in their tiny jail.
It was all 25, but we still have the guy that has the earrings.
All right. We'll get to my part in my notes, and that's definitely a spoiler thing that you guys have to forget in your characters.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, AJ.
So I can't remember the dude's name, but he's still on our boat. The dude with the earrings. Mendo. Yeah, Mendo was in this group of prisoners. And
so we recruited some of them.
Right. Yeah. We recruited all but 3.
Okay, there we go. That's
yes. It. 3 of them were like, nuh-uh, we're bad guys.
I think they were the 3 officers of the
Right.
ship. Like it was the people that were like, we're in charge. We're not just gonna give you we're not just gonna work for you now. You took our ship. Like fuck you. And we were like, all right, well, how about everybody else? And they were like, yeah, that's okay. Like
Yeah. Remember, you can't just take someone else's ship. That would never work. So
no one would rally behind you.
Yeah, exactly. All the other crew would be with that previous captain, and they wouldn't join their new awesome, fabulous captain. Okay,
especially
anyway,
not on a better, fuller, holder ship.
So yes, we converted some of those people to our crew. There were 3 people that wouldn't stay. They were in the jail, and yeah, the town was like, "We have such a small jail, like you can't just do that." And yeah, this is when we had some talk of, okay, well, we could just feed them to Black Razor. You guys were like super against that. Thane's like, we can't just let them live. They're going to either come back for us or, attack the town, or something bad's going to happen. We can't just leave these loose threads. And I think on the next page we deal with that. But this page just says we need. Oh, the town recommends some sailors for us.
This is where Jared broke down So like we need 25 sailors to run this thing, and we didn't have 25 sailors, but we also needed a crew of officers. And so we needed to pick a captain, we needed a first mate, we needed a bosun, a navigator, a cook, and we could or could not have a surgeon. It could be someone who and so we had the option of finding those people or training in those things. So like the captain and the first mate needed to be proficient with water vehicles, the bosun needed to be proficient with masons, navigator with navigator's tools, all that stuff.
And now you say we could or could not have a surgeon, but Thane thinks it's very important that we have a surgeon. I just want that known.
On the record.
Yeah, so we decided that either Marinto or Oren would be the captain, just because they both had proficiency with water vehicles. And then no one else had proficiency with anything other than Vinaya could heal. And so we kind of put surgeon on the back burner of necessity. Thane, on the other hand, is very adamant that we definitely needed a surgeon for some reason. To this day, we do not understand. It comes up very often.
It's very important to have someone that can heal, especially if the healer is the one that gets taken out.
Remember, though, what we all learned is that the bosun can double as the surgeon.
Bosun can do it because they know how to saw things.
So from here, we also need 150 gold up front for repair. So I think we just handled that money. And then on the next page...
Oh yeah, we were, at this point,
we were
incredibly rich because
loaded.
The treasures we took from White Plume Mountain were incredibly lucrative when we started.
At some point, I paid with stuff like in jewelry, although it wasn't worth as much here because the thing we had to remember was Mekuna's main export is treasure and like things, and so like things that like in Roden, like fabulous jewelry, is worth money there because you can't get it, and so it's got value. But here, like that's the kind of things that people find and then they export and sell. So nobody's willing to pay me full price for like a full diamond necklace because they had like the only use it had to them was reselling it somewhere else for its actual value. Basically, it's one giant pawn shop of a continent.
Yeah.
So Thane gives
13 prisoners. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
We recruited 10.
And including Mendo.
Including Mendo.
Oh, so Thane mentions to the bosun that's helping us repair our ship, like, hey, you guys, you can join our ship, if you want to. And then Oren, I guess, says, let's wait until the boat's fixed before we decide.
I think they were a little bit hesitant, or maybe I just was like, let's see how good of a job they do.
Oh, I think it was that. I remember you kind of being like, let's see.
The boat, and then
we wouldn't want to hire anyone like a bosun or a cook without sampling their merchandise a little bit.
Never.